35.
Good morning, everyone. We want to say thank you for tuning in. We are very excited. We are back. Relationship Matters Forum is back. We took a much-needed break, and God is really just doing some things in our lives behind the scenes. So we just want to say thank you for tuning in. I'm excited for today. As you can see, we're in a different platform, a little different setting today, which you'll figure out in a few minutes why. So I hope my kitchen is not too much for y'all. But anyway, just want to say thank you, and thank you for tuning in. So again, I'm back to start the new year with my bestie, Minister Nicole, as well as my sissy, Lardita. So we just want to say she's also my marketer. So I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. If you have not purchased my book, Relationship Matters, please do. It's on Amazon.com. It's on BarnesandNobles.com, and it's also on my website at www.relationshipmattersministries.com. So we're all over the place. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're all over the place. So stay tuned. So I wanted to get started on this. So our topic today will be self-love. Wanted to do something a little different, a little more, for the heart. We cannot continue to go into relationships and expect God to move mountains if we're not willing to be whole ourselves. We cannot change other people. We cannot minister to other people until God minister and heal within us first. So I wanted to make that very clear. It takes a whole person to raise children properly, to have a successful marriage, to have a successful relationship with your siblings, with a best friend. Everything involves you first. So our topic on today will be self-love. I sort of picked the idea from this chick right here. She did an amazing singles ministry platform to where she talked about self-love. And I said I had to make sure that she was able to tell people. So I'm giving her the platform to speak on that. But also, we can't talk about self-love and healing, and we can't be on the glitzy side of things or the sweet side of things without first dealing with how do we get to self-love? How do we get to where we want to be for ourselves? Not necessarily being the perfect person, but being the person of excellence to where we can successfully have relationships, not only with ourselves, but with other people. So it's definitely important to me that we get the word out. And this is just not for women. This is for men as well. We're just doing it from a woman's perspective. In the future, we will have men perspective. We're working on that. I mean, men. So, yeah, so we just wanted to get that. I'm rambling, so I'm going to start off with my sister. I think it's important, before we begin self-love, that we talk about the opposite of that. We're so in tune, or everybody wants to talk about the good and glitzy stuff, but let's talk about self-hatred. Let's talk about when you don't really like yourself. How do you come out of that in order to be able to self-love yourself in a positive way to where you're whole and healed? So I have my sister speaking a little bit about self-hatred. She gave a lot of nuggets that I don't want to take away from her. I want to give her the platform of that. But before we start, I just want to do a quick little prayer. We are a God-centered company, so we want to make sure that we give our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ the recognition that he deserves. Girl. So just a very quick prayer for my listeners. Father God, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we just thank you for this forum on today, God. We ask you that you would reach every heart, mind, and soul out there listening, God. And we just thank you for the opportunity on today to just give out your word. We ask you that you will increase our territory, God, that you will continue to bless the households involved. God, we just ask you that you would just continue to share your love and your goodness from us into your people, God. And we thank you and we honor you on today. Amen. Amen. Let's get started. I'm so excited.
Well, I'm proud of you. Because you're doing a lot of talking. You normally don't.
I'm like, all right, and moving on.
You normally don't, so you're growing. You have grown, so that's really good. Just the whole idea of the topic of self-love is just major to me personally in my life, because I've battled with so much self-hatred for years. It took me until my 30s to really finally come into my own and accept me for who I am, and embrace her, and not allow anyone to tear me down. And that's all just, when you allow the negativity to stay, that's just a reflection on how you feel about oneself. And for years, and one of the things, I can go all the way back to the age of 5 or 6 years old, when everybody wants to be a twin, but nobody wants to really deal with the issues of being a twin. Because one of the things that we constantly dealt with is the comparison between the two. And just like we look totally opposite, we are totally opposite in every way imaginable. So, and I grew up in the 80s, and I'm an 80s baby.
Really?
Okay, I'm just saying, I ain't gonna claim that 70s. So I'm 80s.
That's when you grew up, though.
Yeah, I grew up in the 80s. So dark skin wasn't in, unfortunately. Dark was not in. So at that particular time, I've always been tall. I've always struggled with weight. So I was always the big black one. So I never forget, I had to be about 6 years old, and boy, I got my behind whooped. I went to my father, and I told him that I wanted to have blonde hair and blue eyes. Yes, and I wanted that. Wow. And they could not understand, my mom and my father could not understand why I wanted, but I thought in my mind that was beauty. Blonde hair, blue eyes. So if I get blonde hair and blue eyes, automatically, I'll get fair skin. Because that's what means everything. So it's literally started at the age of 6 of me wanting to change my outward appearance. Wow. To the point when I got into my teenage years, I kind of got into makeup and tried to lighten up my skin a little bit and things like that. So that's the same. It started at a young age with me, not loving myself. And even though my parents, loved me, it wasn't enough for me. I needed more because of the lacking and the stereotypical generation that I grew up in. Black is bad, and I can even remember going back to the movie School Days. They had the Chigaboos, and then they had the two, and that movie affected me. Because the light-skinned, pretty, long hair, and I always had hair, so that wasn't an issue, but they couldn't see past my skin color, or I couldn't see past my skin color to recognize that I had a beautiful head full of hair.
I think that's key right there, what you just said.
Yeah.
You couldn't see
I couldn't see past it. And so it had to be a point where in my life, and it always, I battled with anxiety, depression, suicide, so many things. Alcoholism. I turned to alcohol to try to mute the pain inside, and I promise not to cry today, but just to try to mute my way to try to mute the pain and just be willing to accept anything that came along the way, you know. And it just really, I couldn't look in mirrors. I didn't want a full length mirror in my home when I went off on my own. Even down to when I was pregnant with my son. This is how deep it was. I did not want a dark-skinned baby.
Wow.
The first thing, when he breathed breath in this earth, the first thing I asked was, is he dark?
Wow.
Because I could not get past the skin color. And I felt like I accomplished something because my son was light-skinned. And I had my son at 21. So I was still battling as an adult with my skin complexion and who I was. And trying to, and so now that I have this little boy with this fair skin, you know, I accomplished something because I got me a white baby. In my mind, I had this little white baby. So I'm doing good. And then I had to deal with the fact that, I mean, he is a split image of me now. But when he was younger, I had to deal with the fact that people didn't think that was my son because he was too light. So that was a whole nother thing I had to deal with. That I'm praying for this light-skinned baby and God answered prayers. So be careful what you pray for. But yet still, in the same token, I still had to deal with it. And now I'm left here with this light-skinned baby, this dark-skinned mama. And I thought it was like a badge of honor when somebody said, oh, he must have got his hair from you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's me. And then the more he grew up, the eyes started to, so I'm like, okay, yes, that's me. But not in the same token, not understanding how much I was hating myself. And you don't wake up and say, oh, I have self-hate.
Right, you don't.
You don't. That's just something that you don't do. You don't. It just becomes a part of your life. And the rejection and self-hate somewhere, somehow starts with rejection.
Of course.
And you didn't let it go. So when I was a child, I was rejected because of my skin. And I'm not blaming anybody.
Right.
I'm just letting you know where it began so you could cut it off right from the beginning. So you deal with rejection that you never quite seem let go. And all it does is just fester and fosters and becomes this big thing. And then now I'm finding myself turning to alcohol, abusing alcohol and trying to, and I'm in ministry. I'm an alcoholic in ministry. I started my ministry at that particular time, and I've been dancing for a little over 20 years now. I started my mind ministry at that time, and I am literally dancing with a hangover.
I remember.
And I'm saying to myself, it's a spin in the song. God, please help me not to spin and throw up on these people. Literally.
That's funny, I'm sorry.
No, it's funny. I can laugh myself down. But literally, I'm like, I'm hungover. I'm spraying body spray because it's seeping out. I drank so much that the smell is literally seeping out my pores. So I'm trying to wash to make sure because I got to dance at this women's fellowship. I'm dancing at the women's fellowship.
Never mind the fact that they might discern this.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, the speaker of the hour did.
Oh, wow.
She came over to me once I got dressed and came and sat back down, and she said, you need to be free.
Wow.
You aren't whole. Wow. And I'm like, I'm hungover.
I'm wholly hungover. That's
literally. I don't even know how I got through the song. Wow. But that just goes to show how much I hated myself that I sacrificed the ministry for it. Wow. I mean, it becomes a testimony now. Yeah. But when you're not right in ministry, how many lives that you can touch the wrong way?
Right.
So in the meantime, I'm crying my eyes out every day. I don't like looking in the mirror. I'm hurting myself. I'm literally hitting myself. It's real. You know, I'm getting myself into toxic relationships that's not helping me. It's even hurting me even more. And the ground root of it is hate of myself. because the emotional, physical abuse that I've abstained could have stopped if I never allowed it.
Right.
If I thought I was enough.
Right.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
Never thought I would be enough to be happy. Never thought that happiness was my destiny. Because from a little girl, I was just this ugly black thing. This big girl that not coordinated, had no talent. This is what I thought of myself. I was this humongous woman, dark, black. Now I look at myself and I'm like, I'm not that dark though. Like, I'm running around thinking I'm the color of soot. Seriously. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing, because I've seen some beautiful black women, skin that dark, but this is the picture that I painted. And I'm in the mirror, I'm looking like train smoke with this eyes as big as saucers, because I can remember people saying I was Kermit the Frog and Cookie Monster. And I remember one time in show and tell in class, we lived in Germany, I bought my Cookie Monster to show and tell. And I never forget one of the kids said, "You like Cookie Monster because you and Cookie Monster has the same eyes." And that just ripped me apart. Wow. It just ripped me apart, not knowing that big eyes are beautiful. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to adjust myself. Like, this is how petty I got with me. Try to squint.
I can't.
That's real though.
But it's real. I'm trying to like, because I don't want anybody. I even went as far as one time changing my eye color. Wow. I was green one day. And that's nothing wrong. If you want contact lenses, do you, boo boo? But I was doing it.
Wait, don't do that in 2019. don't.
But the motivation behind it, the motivation behind it wasn't pure. It was the hate. And you just really have to get to a point where enough is enough. And the only reason why I did not commit suicide is because I was afraid of the afterlife. Yeah. That was my motivation of saying, okay, I don't want to do this eternity thing anywhere else. So let me try to get through it. I can remember hiding in a closet. And I don't know if my twin remembers this. Hiding in a closet in my home when I lived a few years back in South Philly. And the relationship I was in, he just ripped me apart so bad. And I remember hiding in this closet because I hated myself so much. Calling my sister. This is before my daughter. Letting her know to take care of Jerry. Because I honestly did not see what would happen if I could live the next moment. Not even a day. Yeah. A moment. I couldn't live the next moment because I allowed this man in my life to literally rip me apart. And I was okay with it because I was okay with it because I was already there. And he would even say to me, "Nobody will love you." And I believed it. Nobody would care. Nobody wants your stinking butt. You can't dress. You can't do this. You can't live without me. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're nobody. Wow. Your own mother doesn't love you. Lies on top of lies. Isolated me from my family, and I allowed it to happen because I never thought myself worthy enough. So I really lived for years in a dark place. And I don't even know if he knows, but my cousin, Arthur Sparrow, I was pregnant with my daughter, so I was about 28. And I was leaving that relationship. Like, people say it takes strength to leave. It doesn't take strength to leave. It takes a lot of strength to stay. Mm-hmm. When you're tired, you'll go. Yeah. It's easy. It's easy to go. And I never forget my cousin saying to me, because he called me because, and he's older, but I'm taller. Because you're too beautiful for this. Come stay with me. come stay with me, hide out. Stay with me and my wife. Get yourself together. We family. I left my apartment and I stayed there for a few days. And at that moment, I refused to take his phone calls. I refused to listen to his voice messages. I cut him off. And my cousin was like, you got to turn him off.
Yeah.
And I did. And I was pregnant. I was 5 months pregnant with my daughter.
Wow.
So that was even on top of all that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like, now I got this kid, you know, and I got to cut it off. But I had to cut it off and deal with me. And deal with the painful reality of where I was. But I know for a fact that God is super amazing.
Yeah.
Because I came from a place where I wanted to die. I would literally do reckless things to try to off myself so it wouldn't look like suicide. I would drive at excessive speeds. I would just make sure I didn't have a seatbelt on. If I just died, let me die. You know, I would try to do little things to like sabotage myself to kind of die, so it didn't look like suicide. And maybe God would know it wasn't suicide, and I'll make it in.
You don't really know you already know.
But this is my warped thinking. This is my warped thinking, and I just had to really sit down and brace my and just look at my flaws and love them anyway.
Yeah.
And understand that God made me perfect. Mm-hmm. And I still go through some battles because the devil is so cunning and slick. He always tries to remind you of your past because he doesn't do anything new.
Right.
So I put myself in situations where I'm like, wait a minute, I'm better than this. Mm-hmm. And then people try to say, no, this, and this, and try to bring you back down to their level, things like that. And you stop it.
You have to.
No. It's too much abuse going on here. I love me. I have to go. Mm-hmm. Because I refuse to be that Largita I was at 6 years old. Mm-hmm. I refused to be that Largita when I was 19, even at 28. Yeah. And it took me until, I'm 41 now, and it took me until my 30s to finally embrace me. Yes, I'm tall. I'm the tallest one in the room, and I'm okay with it. Yeah. And I will still put on my 6 inches heels and still smash the game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I would even go so far as shrinking myself in stature, kind of hump shoulders over, make myself compact, so I wouldn't be the tallest one.
Yeah.
Girl, bye. Not no more. Mm-hmm. Hair. I don't wear hair color because a lot of people say, you know, you put hair color in to try to hide your hair. No, I love red. And it looks good on me. Mm-hmm. Now, if you have a problem with that, that's your problem.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because I embrace my hair with many colors, because I may be orange next week. I stay red or orange. Anything else is too much. I'm too old. But it's what I like. Yeah. Even down to jewelry and the many colors that I wear. And I even found myself in a relationship in my 30s where he tried to say, you too grown to wear your hair color. So I darkened it. And then I was like, wait a minute.
Snap out of it.
This is me.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a bottle of peroxide fast enough. This is me and who I am. And at the time I was going back to school, and he's like, if I was in your school sitting behind you, I would feel some type of way looking in the back of your hair with all those colors. Well, then you need to move your seat, buddy.
Right.
Because if my hair is bothering you, that's your problem, not mine.
Right.
Because it's not taking anything away from your way of life.
Right.
And not too long after that, he was gone.
Yeah.
Because I will not sacrifice me for you. Because you'll go off and live a life and I'm stuck here with this bag of mess you left me. And that's not good.
Right.
And at the end of the day, if suicide will work, everybody's singing songs, bringing flowers, but nobody, I paid the price. The ultimate price, my life. Yeah. No, I'm loud, and I'm going to stay loud. I'm bold, I'm going to stay bold. I understand that when I enter a room, I'm very intimidating because I'm confident. And it's okay. Yeah. I will never, ever again shrink me for you.
Right. And no one should do that.
No
one should do that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But just to go through life, I'm up, like I had to get over it, but I'm just like, I'm glad that it took me so long. You know, even in my relationship with the guy I'm with now, he know I love me. I love you, but I love me. And he's okay with that. Yeah. And that's what you have to find. Partners that's going to help you and be your biggest fan because you're your own fan.
Right.
And you're only going to attract what you give off.
Right. Exactly.
And so if I'm giving off low self-esteem, I'm going to attract some too big bum that's going to push me down even more.
Yeah, I say that all the time. You attract who you are. Absolutely attract who you are. So if everything about you is on a negative perspective, you're going to get trashed. That's just how life is. You're going to attract what you are. And the same on the flip side. If you're positive, if you're confident, if your esteem is there, you're going to attract that. If you're striving to be better, if you're a hard worker, whatever, you're going to strive to get that. Now, I'm not saying that the person that you're with or a friend may not be on the same level,
right?
But y'all should be able to be like this.
Absolutely.
At any point of a relationship, when somebody's down, you should be able to pull them up when you're up,
right.
And then when you're down, they should pull you up. It should be, I don't want to say a yo-yo effect.
More of a weight balance.
Yeah, a weight balance.
That's
so
good.
That's what it should be. So you talked about your process of self-hatred, which we I think a lot of people struggle with the depression, the rejection, the low self-esteem, the suicide. I mean, now it's just like suicide is just, I think people are more aware of it.
Right.
So that's a good thing. But I don't want, because society also tells you now, society has a tendency, and social media has a tendency with mental illness to now, we got to embrace it. Yeah. Let's embrace it, but let's not work towards changing it.
Right.
And I think that's where we fall short, to where, okay, I have depression, yes, I have struggled with suicidal thoughts, and maybe I have attempted a time or two. But now let's deal with the fact that I am, and let's get out.
Yeah, let's get to the root of it.
Let's get to the root and get out. Because it can be managed and you can get out. It is not something that you have to live with for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
Right. So I just believe, especially for my believers, if you're struggling, get the help that you need, but we absolutely have a God who will heal even depression.
Absolutely.
It's not just physical, my arm needs to be healing, but heal me mentally, in my heart, heal. So he's a God of the healer.
I think with the mental health aspect, I think a lot of people are afraid to say something about it because you don't want to, quote unquote, be crazy. Because when I went through a counseling period in my early 30s to come up out of this, because I had to go talk to someone, to help me out. And I'm a true advocate of therapy.
Yes.
Like, I don't know.
Legit.
Legit. And to be honest, I'm in therapy now because I'm addressing issues with grief. And grief is a heck of an emotion that will overtake your life. So before it gets there, we're going to talk about it and iron it out. But we have a tendency, us, to think if I can go get my blood pressure checked because that's a black thing. We want to keep our blood pressure low, but I can't get my mental checked because now you think I'm crazy.
Yeah. And I think it's also a Christian thing too. It's not just a black thing, but it's also a Christian thing. Because I think sometimes we use prayer as a cliche and not an actual solution, and we don't. We say, well, I just prayed about it, so that should be enough. But sometimes you need that extra step of going, making that appointment, sitting on somebody's couch, and having that conversation, so that they can help you work through what's really deeper than that. Like that's why God gave us these skills, and He's giving people. I think some people are gifted to be counselors and gifted to be psychiatrists and whatnot, because He's given them better insight into how your mind works and how you process, and you need to go to a professional so they can help you get through that stuff.
And I think what people fail to realize is we always saying my whole business, my whole foundation is on relationships. But we fail to realize we were never meant to be alone in life. So your therapist, your psychiatrist is also in a relationship with you. They're your support system. Like, can we get this through our minds that we don't have to be alone? We don't have to necessarily just have a sister or a pastor or a best friend or this or that. We have to literally get a relationship with a psychiatrist too. We have to be able to trust somebody to help us get out of what we need. So that's a good point I want to throw out there too. It's like, you gotta have a good rapport with your doctors and everything else. So everything works. Because
they always say with children, it takes a village, but it takes a village, and even as an adult,
it does.
We have to make sure we stay connected so we can stay healthy in all our lives. If we get caught up in, oh girl, I'm gonna pray on it. You pray, and then there's no action after the prayer.
Exactly.
And I'm a huge advocate of prayer. I want to call myself a prayer warrior because I can get a prayer through. But where's the action? We have to take action after we pray. And the prayer is because it gets us in a place where we're communing with God, but also gets us in a place where He gives us direction. I've never been successful in a prayer without Him yet talking and giving direction. That is so, and that's what we miss. And that's what causes us to become emotionally disabled as a Christian, because we miss that connection of, oh girl, I prayed all night. Okay, so what did you do after you prayed?
What did you hear?
What did you hear?
What did He tell you?
What direction did you take? What avenue? Who did He tell you to cut off? Who did He tell you to embrace? No, we all want to run to the altar for that prayer, but what about after?
I think that's what's lacking in the churches. Especially on Sundays, we're so quick to want to hoop and holler, but nobody wants to actually take the time to teach. It shouldn't always consist of coming on a Bible study lesson. Or teach me on Sunday. Teach me when I'm available as well. But I think we just miss the foundation of good, godly, biblical teaching on a Sunday. Everything don't have to be hoopla.
And let me ask you, when's the last time the church sat still? When was the last time that we prayed and not said amen and took off, but sat there and waited? We don't do it. We pray, praise the Lord, you get your right jargon in, because I'm Christian, so I got to say the right things in open prayer, and we pray, and then we just get up and go. And then they expect the prayer to be a light switch. And that was one of my issues dealing with coming up in church and dealing with different doctrines, because my pastor laid hands on me and I walk away. When I walk out that door, I can't, and y'all correct me, I think differently. I think differently. Don't tell me as I go to the altar, when you walk out that door, you'll never be the same. Give me the tools when I walk out the door so I don't be the same.
And
People
I think
so
that's what we
think
fail.
it's a magic trick. This is not magic.
Right. Everything is a step-by-step process, and we forget that. We always want our stuff microwaved.
Quick.
Right, and God can certainly work miracles, but we'll never learn anything if we didn't have to go through the process.
Absolutely.
So, process is important. So we went from self-hatred to you coming out, to you sustaining, to you dealing, you still have, you're some ways to go.
Let me just interject this, because I don't want people to think that I was depressed and anxiety stricken and suicidal at one point, because it was more than just suicidal thoughts. I was suicidal, and because I started to make plans on how to, but then I wanted to try to be cunning and conniving and connive God and say, let me accidentally die.
I'm a trickle.
I'm a trick God. I'm going to accidentally die so I can make it in. But not knowing it was a mental health thing. But knowing that even today at 41, every day is a process. Because the devil is there, the enemy is there to remind you of where you came from, to bring it back. There's nothing new that the enemy does. All he can do is remind you of where you've been and start to compound that. So every day I have to make a conscious effort, or when I start to feel myself getting down and sad or whatever, hold up. Let me get some scripture. Let me talk to myself. Let me get myself right. Shake it off, Dita. You're good. You're good. One of the things that suicide does, it eliminates the opportunity for things to get better. And as long as you're breathing air, and as long as this earth turns on its axle, it changes. Things get better. But you have to be willing enough, not even strong enough, but be willing enough to wait for that next moment. And always, I have a saying within myself, if I could survive the emotion today, I know tomorrow will be better for me. Let me get through today. Because I know for a fact tomorrow's going to be better. And that's what you have to do to keep from drugging yourself back and being a part of that hate of yourself. You don't want to be a part of that crowd. I got enough haters. Why am I going to join their team?
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? We have enough going on, enough people that want to burn me at the stakes, than for me to want to do that to myself. What kind of God you think we serve, that he thinks so low of us, to think that he made me for a purpose? And one of the things I had to recently learn, again, is my purpose. Because I got to a point where I was just recently just going through the motions. I'm gonna get up and go here, go here, go here, go to work, go to here, go here, go home, go to church, got prayer here, I got dance here, this right here, gotta make dinner here. They're just motion. And not realizing, now all of a sudden I'm just becoming robotic. And start to disconnect myself from myself, and thinking that the situation I was in was normal. All adversity isn't normal. And I want us to believe and get that. Because you have to get with God, get with yourself. What's normal, what's not normal. Because everything isn't normal. Me coming to a place where it is supposed to be a self-haven, but it ended up being war. It's not normal for me. So let me change my situation. So you have to make sure you find purpose, because as you grow in your life, things change. And one of the things my counselor told me, he said, you finished school, you already ran that marathon, you're no longer a part of this church that you were once with. Basketball season is now over. You gotta find your purpose again. So I just redirect myself. It's just, you have to continue to redirect yourself. Okay, now I'm gonna run the 5K come the 18th. So now I know for at least an hour, 90 minutes a day, I'm working out. which helps stress, depression, and anxiety. So it's helping me. Okay. I'm no longer a part of the media ministry at the church I was at. Let me turn my face towards doing my own. Let me start pouring into my own business.
Right.
Basketball season is over, but let's go ahead and start.
I think we as humans, we forget that we evolve.
Yeah.
We do change.
Yeah.
We outgrow some things. There's, when we achieve a certain level of success, then it's the next step. I think we have to constantly remind ourselves.
And there's always a next.
Right. There's always a next. There's always a next.
Right.
And I think we have to constantly remind ourselves we don't, we haven't arrived at the age of 41. There's more stuff that God is in store for us.
Absolutely.
And, different things that we need to get done. So, we have any questions or anything?
No, I just got a few before we move on to thing. I have Felicia Wilson online saying, "Hey, beauties."
Hey.
Elder Terry is online.
Hey, Elder.
Monique Abraham is online.
Hey.
Stefan Coles.
Hey, boo boo.
Keisha Flagg. Kima Jones. She wrote a message. "You're speaking to
Hi,
me.
Kima.
I hear you loud and clear."
Awesome.
Amen. Just
Amen.
embrace that and embrace you
Yes.
and who you are, and don't let anybody tell you different.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We got Erica Clark, Katie Smith, Mike Evans, and Demetrius Robbins online. So
That's my son.
and he said, "Yo."
Hey,
In
son.
typical son fashion. I'm waiting for my son in college to come on. Wake up.
Come
Wake
on,
up.
Jay. Najee, roll over.
I know. Sheila Miller. Hey, Sheila. She is online, so we thank everyone for joining. I appreciate you, allowing me to share the self-hate and stuff like that. And it wasn't to down anybody or discourage anyone. It was to encourage.
Yeah.
To know that I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think we always get which I can't wait.
I
I can't wait. We always get the glitz and the aftermath of stuff, but we don't know what people actually went through to get to this. So that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
If you want to do, I'm not going to share my testimony, my self-hatred. You can buy my book. It's all up in there.
Yes, it is.
Relationship Matters. You can buy my book from my website, relationshipmattersministries.com, Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com. And if you happen to see me in the street, I have tangible copies.
Yes.
So you can get my testimony there. You can follow my page, Instagram, Facebook. We're all over the platforms. We're everywhere. So stay encouraged. So let's get to the next.
I know. Let's get to the meat. The meat.
So,
one of these chocolates look good, though.
I ate one already.
Oh, did you?
They got caramel inside.
Jesus. So I was,
Sheila said hi.
Hi, Sheila. So part of me was over here trying to figure out what is it spelling.
I think it's love and Valentine.
Okay.
This is all kinds of
Oh, okay. Because you know how my mind go. I got to put it together. So anyway, I was a part of a singles ministry. Just blessed my socks off.
She's phenomenal. She is.
She's an awesome teacher. She's a very, very awesome teacher. And it's outstanding that I get this every single day. She'll throw a nugget here, or I'll say, I think last weekend I was completely overwhelmed and I was going to blow up the world. And she threw out some nugget. I was like, okay, never mind. So she's such an encourager. And this lesson, I don't want to take too much from her, but her teaching is on self-love. So we go from self-hatred to the process of self-love to where now we're sitting here telling you how to overcome and how to be made whole. Take the mask off. Take the mask off.
So important.
You cannot healing. Honesty and healing is hand in hand. You cannot have healing without honesty. You have to find the root And no matter how trivial or how dumb you may think it is, it matters because it's holding you up. So, it's your time to give you the platform. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay, so I'm excited and I'm nervous. So if I'm looking down, please forgive me. It's just because I'm trying to make sure I get all my notes. But first, thank you, Dina, for giving me the opportunity to even share this lesson. Because it blessed me as well. This is still a process for me. I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers. I haven't got it all down pat. I'm still growing and learning every day. And like Dina said, it's a choice. Like, you have to choose to love yourself daily.
Yes.
And it's a conscious decision. And I appreciate so much what you shared about self-hate, because so many people, I think, just because of the time that we live in, people live secretly, and they're silent, like they're silently screaming, and they're silently broken, and they have all of this stuff because I have to keep my image up, and when I post on Instagram, I have to show, my perfected version, and I done took 50 pictures, and only one of them is the one that I post, because I have to make sure that I put my best foot forward, and I'm not really dealing with that stuff that's on the inside. So I think it's very, very important, and so key that you shared that part first. So that people understand, like, this is where we start. No matter where you are, if you're dealing with depression right now, if you're dealing with brokenness, you can heal today. Like, you can start that process today. You can make that decision today. So in the midst of preparing for the singles ministry, we were talking about what we were going to do for Valentine's Day, because I wanted to do something special for the women, because, Singles Awareness Month. Gets a little difficult because I'm single for real. Like, single as a dog. But, so, hey, how you doing? No, man of God. But anyway, let me calm down. So, while we were talking and preparing, Dita had given me the idea for this whole process, actually, because she said it would be really nice to just give the women something. Because when you're single, it's just nice to receive something. When everybody else is talking about their relationships and their love and stuff, it's just nice to get something. And then she was like, yeah, and you should do like a fancy table and do that. And I was like, yes. And then, my wheels start turning, and I'm like, okay, let's not just do a table. Let's let the table be the lesson.
Right.
And let that be the representation of what it is to be whole. So I'm going to go through all the different elements of what's on the table, but before we even go there, so when the women came in, and I'm referring to the lesson that I did, when they came in, before they even came, I gave everybody an invitation. And I feel like that represents the fact that God is open enough to invite us in to His presence.
That's awesome.
And He's the perfect gentleman. So we don't have to bombard our way in or feel like we're not counted or we're not considered, but He's taken time on each and every one of us to come and specifically talk to you and invite you to come in. So I think that was one of the reasons why it was important to give everyone an invitation, so that they knew that they were wanted to come into this the lesson. And also, I think it's important, even as individuals, as we're looking at our relationships, we have to be mindful and careful of who we invite into our presence. The people that we let sit at our table close. You have to be careful that there are people that are actually coming in and they are building you up and encouraging you. And not that every relationship isn't going to be like that. There's levels to this. So, but you need to be able to recognize who is on what level in your life as you move forward. So that's the invitation. As the women came in, and even as we came in today, it's winter outside, but we all took off our coats and laid down our bags. So when we come into the presence of the Lord, we need to take off our outer layer so that He can deal with what's on the inside. And we need to leave our bags. We can lay them at His feet, because He's the one that can help us unpack them and get to the root of things and to the bottom, so that we can begin that healing process. You got it. Okay.
I was just stuck on the invitation thing because you handed me an invitation for that, and I wasn't able to go. It's basketball or whatever. But you don't understand how that made me feel. because I was in a place there where I don't know. Like, I'm in limbo right now, you know. And for you to hand me that to say, and I open it, and it was so pretty and written, inviting me here, it really brought to, I'm a crybaby anyway, but it brought tears to my eyes. So I want you to know, and I can't speak for the other people that got, you know, invitations, but that right there, if your goal was just to bless one, you blessed me. Because I come from a lot of places where I'm not welcome because of whatever, because of esteeming themselves, because, you know, of my personality and my knowledge. And to know that I got this invitation and I'm welcome, it was just like so amazing to me. And I still have it.
Good.
And I don't plan to get rid of it because I'm a hoarder. I keep everything, but, you know, with sentimental value. So that right there meant so much to me. We have a couple people online. We have Frank saying Franklin Burt saying nice show, but the heart ears I keep bouncing got me laughing. Like my heart ears.
Yeah.
No, and Tiffany Devine is like, yes. And Sheila Miller is like, yes, minister. I can hear her say yes, minister. Please keep commenting. Please, if you have any questions, put it on there. If you do not want to put it out in the open, please inbox Faith Relationship Matters. And I am connected. That's why I keep looking down, so excuse me. So I am connected to it. So we want your input. We want to hear about self-hatred. We want to hear about self-love. She about to drop the bomb. Like, let's get involved. So definitely we want everybody to get involved. We've got quite a few viewers online, so we appreciate it. So go ahead.
Yay.
Well, so we done took off our coats, our baggage.
You took off your baggage, your coats, your outer layer. You're allowing God to really come on and work on what's on the inside. And then I'll even address the little headbands now, since it was mentioned. So I felt like sometimes the headbands represent having fun and enjoyment. You need to be able to have fun and enjoy yourself before you can even begin to enjoy other people. You should be able to laugh and smile and have joy. Like, people should be able to see the joy that you're supposed to be Christians. And there's so many funky Christians walking around looking all stank and angry all the time. Like, do you not have the joy of the Lord?
And not go find it.
Right.
Because I've never in my life seen so many Christians with the prune face.
Yeah.
How we going to convert, or how we going to spread the love of Christ, and we looking like we just keep dying, our dog keep dying.
Exactly.
Like, get your life right.
Please.
Go ahead.
Unspeakable joy. You sitting here all funked up and nasty, like, get your life. Sorry. But yeah, so that represents the fun side. Like, we really need to be able to have moments of just letting your hair down and having fun and just enjoying this life that we have, because life is precious. Life is a gift. And we should be able to enjoy it as well as the serious stuff. But I know that one of the sayings that people used to say, and I talk with my hands, y'all, so sorry. People said a lot was, you are so don't be so spiritually high or heavenly bounded. You're no earthly good, and like I'm Bishop so and so, and I'm so and so potentate. Like, get your life. Like, come on,
because it's not that deep.
Right, it's really not. You get gas just like I do sometimes. Get laughter. Okay. Next, so even coming in to have a seat at the table, which, the table itself represents your body. And then everything that's on top of the table are different elements of your character or tools and things that you need that represent getting to wholeness. So even if you sit down and you're sitting in the position, your position might be one, or your seat might be one of singleness and being alone, but that doesn't mean you have to be lonely. So your posture while you're sitting is one of wholeness.
Wow.
And one of being self-aware and complete. so that you don't have to feel like you are alone or lonely just because you are not attached to somebody else. But you are enough just being you.
Amen.
That's good. That's good.
I think so.
That's good. I'm sorry. I know you got a whole spill, but we got a whole hour. I like the part where you say about your posture in your chair.
Yeah.
That thing is deep.
Yeah, because it's important. Because I think because we get to this place. I think because I'm single. Because even when let me back up some. When we first started the ministry, and I'm making my announcements, and I'm like, yeah, it's the single ministry, and everybody's just like,
Right.
and I'm like, okay, so this is because we have this mindset that mindset and that posture that being single means that I'm alone. That I'm broken, that I'm lonely. But you can still have a posture of wholeness that even though I'm single, I'm doing good.
Right.
Like, I love me. I'm like living my best life right now. I ain't got no obligations. I got to report to nobody, do no checkups and stuff. I can just come and go as I please. I make my decisions. I mean, I consult with God, but I make my decisions. And it's like, start embracing the good side of being single, not just feeling like it's a horrible death sentence.
Right.
Because it's not.
Right.
It really isn't.
Right.
No, it's not. And I think I don't even want to say society. I think church.
Yeah.
Church people have frowned upon. If you're not married, something's wrong with you.
Right. There's a shame.
Shame.
There's a shame that they put on you, or that you haven't arrived because you're not married. I was talking to my sister actually earlier this morning, and she was saying how someone had told her that they were getting married, and they, first of all, they didn't say it with joy, but then secondly, they said it like, well, we might as well do it, so that's why we're doing it. Well, wait a minute. What?
Right.
Like, and then they said it as if that was the goal. Like, that's the end. That's where it stops, is when you get married. But that's not where it stops. That's just, it's like you're on the train track of life, and one of the stops on the train track is marriage. But there's still more to go. There's more track, there's more distance, there's more journey. There's a lot more journey once you join with somebody else's life.
I know that's right.
And even when you have a significant other, like my boyfriend, one of the things people often ask me, so when y'all get married, can we enjoy this stage in our relationship right now?
Right.
Why are we already so quick to get married?
Yeah.
And we just finally started dating without for a year and a half. Can we enjoy this moment?
Right.
Just even yesterday, I had a friend, I was talking on the phone, and he's like, so y'all been together for a year and a half, and then she says, well, about another year and a half, y'all should be married. In who eyes?
Right.
Can I enjoy this?
Let us.
Can I enjoy him being there and me being here and hooking up on a date like that? Why do we have to run everything? Because they make it seem like marriage, and I'm an advocate for, if you married, do you? And I desire to be married one day. But why are we so quick to move past, to get like marriage is this final destination?
Right.
When it just begins.
Yeah.
Right? The journey just begins once they're married. But in the single realm, your final destination is marriage. Because you're not woman enough. Because, you being a woman isn't complete until someone calls you wife.
Right. Wrong.
The devil is a liar.
Bold-faced, snaggletooth liar.
Don't do it. Can I enjoy my dating season?
Right.
Can I enjoy being single? Can I enjoy dating? Can I enjoy courtship? Can I enjoy that before you try to rush me to the altar with me? Yeah. now I'm conscious of it since you said it. See?
Oh, baby. He's just negative. Negative.
Well, he said it makes him laugh. So.
Okay.
He said
negative.
It makes him laugh. So I'm conscious of it now. I'm around here like, but go ahead, Nicole, because I look.
Yeah, but I just want people to, like, you can enjoy this time. Like, this is this is the time to enjoy it, especially if you're still younger. Like, I'm not knocking anybody that's in that mature stage. That's, I'm a little mature now myself. But if you're, like, enjoy the freedom that you have now as a single, because you're free to just do and go. And this is the best time to discover who God's called you to be and what he's called you to do. Really dig into that. What is your assignment in this season, in this moment? Who am I supposed to be touching and who am I supposed to be affecting? Like, you can really dig in and press in and just really get to know more of the vastness of who God is.
Right.
Because we put God in a box a lot of times and we think, okay, well, he's just this, Sunday morning and my Bible study time, and that's enough. But God is so much, like, he's the creator of all. Like, so even when we think we've discovered, he's new every day, and there's so many more layers. Like, I'm enjoying learning a new aspect of who God is.
Right.
Like, okay, I think I'm really grasping who God is as my daddy, but now I get to know him as my protector, or now I get to know him as my provider. Oh, I feel it. And now I get to know him as this and that. So it's just so important that you really take advantage of this time. You're wasting too much time wallowing in self-pity and feeling like you're alone when your posture should be, I am whole because of God made me whole. And I want to begin to see myself how he sees me and how he created me to be.
Right. Yes. That's good. That's so good. That's so good.
All right. So, the tablecloth. So the tablecloth represents our covering, who is God, our Father, Abba. I call him Abba. And he is the one who completely should be the foundation for everything of who we are and what we do and how we are. I particularly chose the color red because of the blood that Christ shed on the cross for us, and how his sacrifice was the ultimate act of love. And because of his sacrifice, we are able to get to the Father. None can get to the Father but through Christ. And because of what he did on the cross, not just the death and the beating and everything that he endured, and taking on every sin that I've done in the past and everything that I could possibly do in the future, he also rose with all power. And now he's sitting at the right hand of the Father, making intercession for me. Huh? What?
Yes.
Like, that's amazing. So knowing that he is our foundation to which we build everything else, and that's how we're able to see ourselves the way that he's created us, because we're seeing ourselves through his eyes. So the foundation of the tablecloth and our covering. And then when you do finally join with that person, that's just another extra layer of covering that you'll have, where they can cover you in prayer and cover you in word and cover you in this and that, and he'll provide for you and protect you and things like that. Never negating the fact that God is still the foundation for you both.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So let's look at the plates now. So we have 3 plates, and I didn't even realize that it was 3 plates until now. So we just gonna say the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Yeah. So the Trinity, because we need all 3. That's right. And one is red because of the blood. No, I really didn't think of that until now. Because the red one is Jesus, and then the Holy Spirit is the one that covers us all for everything. Because we're living in a dispensation of the Holy Spirit, and he's with us right now.
Come through!
But yeah, so our plate. So the plate represents your spiritual appetite and how we take things in and what we feed ourselves. So we know that, as Christians, we believe that we are 3-part. We are just like Christ is Father, Son, and the Spirit. We are spirit, body, and soul. And in order to nurture the spiritual side, everything that we take in becomes something that nurtures your growth. So sometimes, what we do is we have our plate, and I'll take the little one. We have our plate, and what we do is we fill it up with so many other things that we don't have a lot of space left for the Word or for God. So even if we're sitting, like say that my deal is I'm dealing with loneliness, and what I'm doing is I'm feeding that loneliness by what I'm looking at on social media. I'm looking at how so-and-so has this and I don't have it. So-and-so is with that person and I'm alone. I'm sitting here in my house watching Netflix by myself. I ain't even chilling with nobody. But so-and-so is having this and so-and-so is having that. And you're feeding that loneliness, and that's the portion that's growing. And you're so full that when someone tries to come along with the word, where's the space for it? There's no space because your plate's already full with everything else. But what we need to do is move those other things out of the way and make the word of God and our time with God, let that be what fills us up.
Right.
So that when those things come against us, and like you said, how you were able to grow from being in a place of self-hate to a place of self-love is you got to destroy those lies that the enemy is given and really combat that with the word. Amen. So I begin to understand that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And that's what I start to meditate and eat on daily so that I can grow in my self-esteem. If he's taken that special time to even create me, everything that God made, he said he called it good. That includes me.
Right. Come on.
So we have to begin to make space, make room for him on our plate and not be so bogged down with spiritual junk food that we become fat on the wrong things.
Right. That's good. That's awesome. And so tune in next week. That was so good. And I think with that, I think just with life, people forget that portion of it. And that's the foundation of it. And that was good.
Yeah, and people you don't take into effect, I'm trying to find the right words. Sometimes we negate how things really do affect us. Like we want to be like, oh, I can listen to this music and I'm good and it doesn't have any effect on you. But no, you just ate that. Like you ate that music. So if I'm dealing with my loneliness and then I'm spending, I'm listening to sad love songs all night long, uninterrupted. Like you got it playing in your earbuds. You went to sleep with it. There's nothing else combating that. You just got 6 to 8 hours of just, I'm lonely. And then you wonder why you waking up having dreams and you horny and you're like, oh, what am I supposed to do now with that? Like, because that's what you fed
yourself.
Yeah. So
we have to turn it off.
Yeah.
You have to get to a point, and one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control.
Right.
You have to exercise self-control. You have to say to yourself, I want to listen to it, but I'm not.
Right.
So I'm going to control. There's times where I actually get off Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't even want to see the notifications. I will log out and be done. And control myself not to log back in to be newsy. And be done with it.
Yeah.
Because social media will have you thinking your life is terrible.
Yeah, it'll have you thinking your life is trash and you never gonna amount up to what other people have, and you don't know what they're really going through in real life.
No idea.
Because what they're posting is just what they want you to see.
Right.
And it's the best version of what they want you to see.
Absolutely.
And I've gotten to the point where I'll just leave my phone in different places in the house. Like if I'm gonna be down in the kitchen, I'm gonna leave it in my room, so I don't have that distraction. Because all it is a distraction. It's smoke and mirrors. It's not the reality of what life is. And you can control what you take in, and you can control what you're gonna move and do in life. Like make that choice. I will be happy today.
Right.
No matter what, I'm going to be happy today. No matter what. And you have to make those conscious choices every day, even if it's moment by moment. I know, grief has been a lot for a lot of us. These last couple of years we've been hit hard with a lot of loss of loved ones, and you have to make those choices every single moment. And people were like, "Oh, you can get through it the next day." I'm like, "No, I need to know next moment that I'm going to be okay."
Right.
So you have to make those choices and just begin to monitor what you're eating and what you're taking in.
Right.
So we'll move on to the cutlery. So we have, our fork, knife, and spoon. So that represents knowing that you have the proper tools in your arsenal to move forward. So it could be prayer, it could be your word, it could be your discernment, it could be your spiritual gifts. Getting to know what those are, knowing not just your spiritual gifts, but your natural gifts. Where are the places where I excel? Things that come easily to me. And then beginning to work on those things and become a master of what it is that you have in your arsenal. Because these are things that God put inside of you. So, you know, y'all know I sing a little bit. And
a little bit.
And, you know, that's one of my, it's my outlet. It's my great love. It's something that I know is a gifting in my life, and that God has gifted and anointed me in that area. So, even in having this tool, I want to make sure that my life isn't dull. So I want to make sure that I'm spending the time learning what I need, taking care of my voice, and even learning new skills and techniques, and constantly growing and learning in that, so that even as I'm using my gifting, I can use that to combat the things that I'm eating with and the things that are coming into me, my spiritual food. I get to use my gifting up against that as well. And then, like I said, having the right things in the arsenal, because I can't use my fork where I need to use the spoon, and I can't use the knife where I need to use this. So if I know how to pray, I need to be able to, okay, this instant right here, I need to push it with prayer. But this other thing over here, I got to push it with fasting. Or this other thing over here, I got to hit this one with the word. And knowing how to properly use the tools that you have in your arsenal, just spiritually and naturally, so that you can navigate as a whole and complete individual.
Yes,
that was good. That was good.
All right. The cup. So the cup represents our thirst. And how, you know, we have the scripture and the story of the woman at the well, and Jesus said, you know, he is the one, he'll give you the drink that you'll never thirst again. And we need to begin to fill our cup with him and his presence, so that we're not thirsty, we're not walking around with desires after things of this world and everything else, but we're desiring fully him, because he's the one that fills us up. And then we get to the place where we pour so much of ourselves out to other people that we forget to refill. And because he is the well, like he's the well that never runs dry, we can go back and fill back up again with him. And that's how we're able to overflow and pour back out to other people. Because if we're empty, we do no good to pull or try to pour from an empty tank. And sometimes, even, especially as Christians, we get to the place where we're pouring and doing, and we're in the motions of ministry, that we're forgetting, oh yeah, I gotta minister to me. And I gotta make sure that I'm not running on E, because when I'm on E, I'm irritable. I don't have I'm testy, I'm quick to snap. But when I'm filled up, then it's easy for me to pour out and give. So we have to remember to just run to the source, run to that well, run and drink of him as much as possible. And the great thing about God is that the more full we get, we can still go back for more. And I love that parallel, or that paradigm between, you know, the natural and the spiritual, and how things that make sense in the natural are kind of the opposite when it comes to the spiritual side. So if I eat too much when I'm full in the natural, I'm probably gonna throw up and get sick. But I'll never get sick with God. I never get tired of it. It's never enough. I can always go back and keep getting more.
And even that, just to touch on that empty place, and be bold enough to tell people, I can't. And when you find yourself around people that you say, I'm empty right now, I can't, and they still want you to pour, know that may be a little toxic for me. I'm gonna need to adjust some things, because I'm empty. And with doing ministry, and you guys know we do ministry, a lot of times you gotta say no. And mean it. Because I was in a point where I would say no, and then, all right, fine, I'll go ahead and dance. And leaving me even more injured, because I'm so empty. But then people will sit there and try to guilt you into thinking that you're not of God because you said no. how can I be effective to you if I'm not effective to me first?
Right.
And it's protection for you and them.
As well.
Because
Thank
again,
you.
let's go back to loneliness. Say I'm dealing heavily with loneliness and I get out there and I start singing, I'm spewing loneliness to the people that are out there. So they might be like, oh, that sounded nice, but why do I might not have been dealing with this before, but why am I feeling this like emptiness or sadness? Because that's what now I'm putting out, because that's all I have to give. So you have to protect both you and the people that you're serving by saying no sometimes. And they'll be okay.
They'll survive.
They will be okay. They'll be better for it.
Right. And you have to just be mature enough to stand your ground.
Yeah.
Because sometimes with church, and we just being real, with church people, they have a tendency to try to make you feel guilty because you need a timeout.
Right.
Jesus took a time out in his ministry and went off by himself to get empowered to do and to finish what he had to do. So if I'm not above Jesus, I need a time out.
Right.
And don't make me feel bad because I said I want to sit all month, the month of June.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just use that as an example, because you feel like you got a spectacular event in June, and my being empty and sitting for me is not convenient for you. So what?
Yeah.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm going in front of God. I'm here and have to be accountable for it. Because we have to be careful with ministry.
Yeah.
You could become poisoned real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to learn that. Like, let me get me right.
Yeah.
And because I'm a dancer, a lot of times in the back of my mind, I don't have time. I don't. Now I'm 40. I don't have time. I don't have much longer. God is outside of time.
Yeah.
I met a dancer 65 years old. I was like, you better go, girl. So we got to get that idea out of our mind that we got to continue to push past. No, you push when you're running a marathon.
Right.
That's when you push.
Right.
But you can't push in the spiritual when you're empty. You got to go back, like you said, go to the well and fill up. So I can overflow. And one of the beauty things about God that you said, Nicole, that there's no such thing as getting too full.
Right.
That I can continue to eat and bask in God and love and have God love on me, so I can build myself up as much as I want.
Yeah. And I think that's what it really means by the well that never runs dry.
Yeah,
because it's constantly refilling. It's constantly, there's always space. It's like you said, he's outside of time and he's outside of space. So there is no fullness. There is no cap on it. It just keeps going. And that's so amazing. And I think one of the things that you also touched on is that, you know, a lot of times this is what happens with pastors and people when they get burnt out, because pastors have that unique position where everyone is constantly pulling on them, but they also have to learn that I need to take a step back and take a step away so that I can be filled up enough to continue to pour. And that's why we have, unfortunately, so many pastors that commit suicide. That percentage rate, I don't know what it is. I'm not gonna make up a number, but it's too high.
Yeah, it's too high
For pastors because of the pressure that they feel and the extreme pulling that they have on their lives. But we have to, that's why you have to be so rooted and grounded and have this foundation, that covering, and go back to God. Spend that time with him. If you're spending more time pouring than you are in his presence, that's a problem.
Yes. It's a huge problem.
That's a problem.
It's a huge problem. But yeah, that's so good, Nicole.
Okay, so I'm like, I don't know how to transition because we'd be like, oh, that was good.
Well, I'll let while you say, Sheila all in today. she all up and commenting. She's like, exactly, really a little bit, laugh out loud. We have Audrey still on the line. Hey. We have Sandra, Sandra. And George Parker on the line. That's awesome. Please comment anything you want to add about self-love and the foundation of love, or any of your life personal experience, even down to self-hate and stuff like that. We want to hear your input. We want your feedback on it. We appreciate everybody being online. We got about another 40 minutes, so we still got a lot of time. So
all right, cool. Okay, so the next piece are the menus. You know, when you go to a restaurant, you have a menu. And what does the menu do? It tells you what you bring to the table, what's coming, what's on the meal.
And boom.
So as a person, as an individual, we need to be aware of what we bring to the table. Because a lot of times, you know, we get caught up with our little, as females, I was watching this dumb movie, talk about the list. And the women were talking about this list of things that they want for their mate. And we do. We, as women, will have this list of all these characteristics and things we want in a man, but we don't turn that around and know what we bring to the table. So we need to be part of being self-aware, being whole as being self-aware and knowing what it is that you bring to the table.
Yes.
And in that, I think that one of our great examples as women of God is Proverbs 31. And all of the different characteristics that woman brings to the table. And not saying that you have to possess all of them or that you'll get it all perfect and right, but these are things that we should work towards, aspiring towards, or characteristics that we should want to have to bring to the table. So I'm just going to read through a couple of them real quick, and then I'm going to go real briefly over a couple of things for, I'll say that now. Okay, so Proverbs 31, like I said, is a great example of just the characteristics that a woman who's walking in wholeness and confidence should have. And in the beginning of the scriptures, I think it's Proverbs 31, 10 through 31. And in verse 10, when it opens up, it says that her husband recognizes that he knows that her value is far greater than pearls and rubies. And I was like, okay, I like doing a little science, learn what's going on. So I was like, well, how are pearls made? So let me go ahead and pull that up. Okay, so a pearl is made from an oyster. And what happens is an oyster is like, doing its thing at the bottom of the sea. And then if a grain of sand or some kind of, just any kind of foreign object gets inside of the clam, then as a protection, the oyster will start to cover it with this layer of I forget what it's called, but it's something from the inside that it creates to cover up that thing. So it's protecting its organs and its insides. So it keeps covering itself with these layers, and at the end of all these layers going on top of each other, then that's how the pearl is developed and created. And one thing that is really awesome, I think, is resilient about women is that we find a way. When things come up against us, we find a way to cover and protect what's on the inside of us. So we might cover ourselves with this or cover ourselves with that. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. When it's good, that's where we get that pearl from. But when it's bad, it's bad. And even in the self-hate version, these little things start happening as children to us. People will say things to us, because I struggled for a very long time with low self-esteem and my own versions of self-hate because of things that were said and done to me as a child. And you begin to try to cover yourself and protect yourself with these things, and sometimes it's just to your detriment. I think that I'm not an introvert. I used to think that I was, and I think that I grabbed a layer of being an introvert because of all of the things that were said to me, and because I was always the big girl. I want to shrink, and I don't want people to focus on me, so let me just be quiet in the corner, and they just won't notice me, so then they won't make fun of me. And that's a problem. And I think that even in looking at the scripture, that he finds her value is greater than pearls and rubies. It's greater than not just the beauty of those things, but in the flaws of those things. Right. So he sees great value that she overcame so many things in her life, and that she is an overcomer. So I see not just the outward beauty of who she is and how she's shining, but I also see and appreciate everything that she's successfully come through. Right. And it's the same with the ruby. Rubies are created under extreme heat and pressure. And we endure a lot as women, especially as Black women. We've gone through so much, and we've been able to endure it. And when you're able to still walk with your head held high, and still walk with confidence, and still begin to walk in love of yourself and show love towards others, that's the shining of the ruby and the shining of the pearl. These are the jewels that you carry. So back to the characteristics. So successfully single woman characteristics are virtuous. She's faithful. She's reverent of God and who He is. She's strong mentally, physically, emotionally. She's enduring. She's able to get through things. And no matter what comes her way, she's able to find the way through it and see to the other side. She's well-rounded and cultured. I think that that's important, that we also aren't just only in the box of religion or in the box of this or in the box of that, but that we're very well-rounded individuals and that we have balance amongst ourselves. She's charitable. She is a great giver. And she's a provider for her family because she knows her skill set and she excels at it. I also have on the list, she's a master of her craft. So she doesn't just know what her gifts are, but she excels at them and she knows how to grow what she has from her hands. And I think that's important, that we not just know what our skill is, but we really begin to walk in confidence even with what our skill set is, and we just know and do what we are and grow that thing. If it's entrepreneurship, if it's a business idea, if it's writing, if it's singing, if it's arts, whatever it is, begin to grow that thing and do it to the best version and the best ability that you can be. And you're always talking about master of craft, and I just love that term. Like, you should be a master of you. Period. So no one should know you better than you besides God. And if you don't know you, get to know you. And there was a point in time when I was in my 20s and I was sitting down with a group of people and they were like, so what do you like about yourself? And I was like, about that, I don't know. If you don't know, find out. Try different things. Figure it out. Ask God. He'll show you.
You gotta know it's okay that you don't know. Because now that you owned up to it, now you can find out.
Exactly.
And that's just the part of being honest. And real. And like Dina said, taking the mask off. So many of us just live and walk around with this mask. And it's not doing anything but stifling you. And we gotta, and especially in the church, we got to take the mask
Take them off.
It is okay to say, we're not good. So we can figure out how we can become good.
Don't just stop there. But then go to the next step of figuring out why. So, because so often, we get the cliche, you good? Yeah, I'm good. And you're not. Not at all. Not even close.
Even if you say, I'm not good, just give me a minute. That's honesty. Give me a minute. And that letting them know that we're going to revisit this later. But now's just not a good time because I just want to stay where I'm at.
And then another point I want to say is knowing what you like, knowing what you dislike, that also brings about your confidence. Because if you don't know, then you're not confident to step out to do something because, I don't know. So you gotta know so you can, grasp your confidence and, be well aware of yourself and what ticks and what doesn't and what flows and what doesn't and, what's your triggers and what doesn't. So you just got to know yourself, and then that helps build your confidence in knowing who you are because then you know what you bring to the table.
And educate yourself.
You have to question.
Become a student of you.
Oh my God, that's so profound. Even when I started to take on the mind ministry, and one of the things my uncle said to me, he brought me in his office and was like, "You really want to do this, kiddo?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I really want to do it." No, mind you, if I show you my very first mind video, you'll be like, "What the heck?" I didn't even know what that was. But because I was more like a ballerina. I don't know what I was doing. But I did have paint on. But my uncle brings me in his office. I have to show you. I do because it was just so awkward. Even my garments were awkward. So my uncle says, kiddo, you really want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Then study your craft. I was like, excuse me? I can't just do this in my bathroom and just come out. You know, like that was so profound to me. Because he says, kiddo, study your craft and get to the point in your craft that nobody can come in here and tell you how to do it.
There you go.
Because you're confident in it.
Right.
And in that moment, I took that piece of advice and turned it into empowerment, went to school, studied it, went to every workshop. I was so hungry to learn this craft that I had literally drove out to Pittsburgh, could not afford the hotel stay, slept in my car so I could go to the workshop the next morning and drive back by myself.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to learn the craft of mind, and not just the motions, but just the biblical support. Now, to the point that now I wish you would come and tell me it ain't ministry. I want that conversation. I want that conversation. And a lot of people that I'm friends with in the ministry, because that's one of the ministries that's always questioned,
Right.
they'll text me, hey, such and such, what should I say?
Right.
I got you. And I'm going to give you scripture.
Right. Yeah.
Because I studied it. And now I'm confident. So now, even though sometimes, I get nervous, that's nerves before each ministry because I want to be effective and I want to be used by God. But there's a confidence that I'll go and say, and I know you guys say, I'll be like, I feel big today. I'm about to wreck it.
Yeah.
Because I
But
studied
it's
it.
not arrogance. It's confidence.
And we just have to do that with each area in our life and become the master of it.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine. Even with me down to marketing, you study it.
Yeah.
I love when people, like, even down to the digital stuff, when people say, I just had a new client. I can't get nobody else to make my digital stuff because I know that you're the best. Thank you. But I studied it. I didn't just take this app and just no, I studied it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I found it so funny because my boyfriend calls me one day and he says, no, he sent me this text message and says, did you make this? Or some whole or another organization, not even connected. I said, yes. He said, I could tell.
Wow.
You got to study it.
Yeah.
You got to study it.
Yeah. It's important.
Bottom line.
Yeah. Period.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, but you
No, it's fine. It's all part of it.
Oh, my son is on the line. Hi, Cherry.
So I'll keep going through the list. So we have provider. She's beautifully confident and secure. We just covered that. She's respected. People respect what you bring to the table. Are you respected? Are you talking with a foul, nasty mouth and a nasty demeanor and attitude so people don't want to be around you? Or they can't find, like they have to oh, let me see if I can find somewhere that I can respect you because you don't have that about you. But that's something that we should, especially as women of God, we should be able to walk and exude a personality to which people will give you the respect.
Right.
Why? Not just because you deserve it or something, but because you also give respect. You're respectful. And I think that's important too, because a lot of times now people are just like, they feel like there's this like they're owed something, and man, they respect because you should just respect me off jump. No, boo boo. You need to be respectful so that I can respect you. So I think respect is important. Honor, not just being honorable and people honoring you because of what you've done and who you are. She's wise. She has wisdom. She's grown. She's learned some lessons. Not just going through stuff and then bad-mouthing people because stuff broke up, but she's finding lessons in the things that she's been through. And I think that's very key. Every relationship that you're in, you should learn a lesson from it.
I agree.
And that's how you grow. And we should be constantly growing. If you get to the point where you think you arrived, then you need to die.
Right.
Because you're done.
Yep.
She's kind and being kind-hearted, and that's important too. Just being a good person, be nice to people. Just be nice. It don't cost nothing to be nice.
No.
It's like absolutely free. Being nurturing. She's a mother. She's caring. She's providing. She's making sure that everyone is well taken care of. She's praiseworthy. Again, master of the craft and God-centered, because God is the center of everything. We always go straight to him, and he covers and just saturates every part of your life. So what I had the young women do for the lesson, on the back of the menu, we have, what are your strengths? And then what are the areas where I need to grow? So as you're learning what she brought to the table, start to identify the things that you bring to the table and write those things down. And the areas where you might be lacking, let's start growing.
Right.
So I think that those are important.
Awesome.
The next thing we have on the table are our mirrors. And we talked a lot about this already, but the mirrors represent not just, say making sure you're good, which I ain't know, right? But what is the point of a mirror? You use a mirror to find where the flaws are,
Right.
and fix it. And that's what we need to do. We need to start doing self-reflection. Where are the areas where I'm struggling, where I messed up, where I might not be quite where I want to be? And really, like you said, being truthful and honest with yourself.
Right.
And not just putting blame on this situation or that situation, or that person did this, but how did I react?
Yeah.
Why did I react that way? And sometimes your reaction had nothing to do with what the person did or said. It's because of something else that you've never dealt with that's deep down inside. Right. And God wants to get to those inner parts, those deep down places, and heal them. I'm just a great believer that God wants us to be mentally, spiritually, and emotionally whole. And we don't have to keep walking around broken. You don't have to keep coming up to the prayer line every single Sunday.
Ooh, Lord.
For the same thing. If you're doing that, I'm glad that you're acknowledging that you need prayer, but you got to get to that next step and get to that next piece. Yes, just what we talked about earlier, and going deep, like looking within. Start to recognize the patterns in your life. And I think we forget about that part. Like, some of us just really do go through seasons of different things. And it's like, right now I just don't feel like this. But you don't feel like this every month at this time. Start recognizing that, and hey, well, there's got to be a reason for this.
Right.
So let's figure out what that is so that we can grow and move forward.
Sheila says yes. My girl is dug in today. I love her so much.
I love it.
Do.
And then as God begins to help you in these self-reflective areas, sometimes it gets a little messy. And we're bringing up things that make us feel a little dirty, and that's why we need the napkin, so that we can get cleaned up, and he cleans us up and wipes those dirty spots off of us. And it says that he can make us whiter than snow, and that's because of the sacrifice of his blood and what he gave, which is why the napkin itself is also red, because he is the napkin. He's the one that wipes us clean. He's the one that cleans us up in our messy places, and he reveals the messy places, and then he cleans it up, because God is not in the business of just exposing you for the sake of embarrassment.
I just want to interject. This comment is from Tasha. She says, I have my mirror out right now. She's actually from your singles ministry.
Oh, awesome.
I have my mirror out right now, doing self-reflections to continue to grow. Thank you. That's important. Thank you, Tasha, for sharing that. That's amazing. And I think that's a sign of maturity.
It is.
When you can sit there and say, and look at yourself and say, I need to fix this. And I think too, we need to realize it's okay.
Yeah.
It's really okay.
Yeah.
And we all deal with it. And I think just throughout the years, we have just continued to, everybody just get false. Just live false lives. And I want to touch on what you said about the altar thing. It saddens me. I'm not an altar person. If I'm going to the altar, it's really something. So that's just my personal thing. But it saddens me when I see the same people continue to go up to the altar for the same stuff. Because yet again, we're saying, You come here, as soon as you're done praying, as soon as the minister or pastor finish praying, as soon as you turn around, it's different. That's false.
Right.
When you turn around, it started with prayer.
Right.
But when you turn around and walk back to your seat or even walk out that church door, what are you doing to the steps to get free?
Right.
And then once you're free, what steps are you taking to stay free?
Right. You have a responsibility to maintain your freedom.
And I think that's where people, we don't want the responsibility.
Right.
We rather push it on somebody else and say what they did or whatever. Nobody wants to ever take the responsibility. But I think I put on my Relationship Matters status, your healing, you have to own you.
Yeah.
Your healing is all about you. It's not. It's never about the opposite person. It's all about you.
And just like Tasha said,
You have to own you.
she's self-reflection.
Yes.
That is so important because I know when I go through different things and the past year has been very trying for myself and the family and even transition and other things, I can't blame them.
Right.
What did I do?
Yeah.
What could I have done better?
Right.
Could I stop certain things that were being done to me years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Or did I just let it happen and now all of a sudden I mention it and now everybody's shocked because they're accustomed to me just doing, you know what I'm saying? Not standing up for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a part of self-love too.
Yeah.
It's saying, boom,
Yeah.
you will respect me.
Yeah.
Because if not, you cannot be in my presence.
Right. Yeah.
Bottom line. And it's okay.
And I think people, and this is in my book, it's a Bible book, The Power of No.
Yeah.
It sets boundaries, not for other people, not so much for other people, but it's for yourself as well. Like, I was the type of person, I was a yes ma'am to everything. I was a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Now,
No.
I'm overwhelmed. I done raised 4 kids, got 2 more. I got an entire house. I got a husband, a cat, the kids want a dog. No, it's too much. I have ministry, I have things to do for myself. If I take on what you're asking me, when do I have time for me?
Right.
And I enjoy me.
Yeah.
So the answer is no.
Yeah.
And if anybody, and I'm looking down at y'all, if anybody cannot respect your no, it's nothing against you. It has everything to do with them.
Correct.
They don't have their boundaries. Continue to say no. It's your empowerment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because my thing is people will dump on you and leave you.
And then they'll get whole and you sit
Now
there
you still wrapped up in bondage.
Right.
Yeah, like,
You know, and oh girl, I can go
It's so much.
with that one. I can.
But
definitely go for
even
that.
with the self, like when you're looking in the mirror, it's only you.
Yeah.
You can't put it on anybody else but
Right.
you.
I can't.
Sorry. But you only can put it on you. Like you have to have that one-on-one time and that realness with you. And with our first lesson with the women, it was so powerful. When we had the women really look at yourself and apologize to you. Sometimes we go through things and different things happen to us, and it's okay that it happened. Apologize to yourself, and in that other key from the apology, forgive yourself. Sometimes we even when we're saying that we forgive others, we forget the element that we also need to forgive ourselves.
Right.
So take the time to really, after you've apologized to you, forgive yourself, and then follow that up with some affirmation. Find some of the things that you do enjoy and like about yourself, and be like, you know what, you got this. I think yesterday I put on my post, she's dope. Like she is so dope. Like yeah, I am dope. Like say some good positive things about yourself, and like even if you're struggling with even looking at yourself. I know I also for a long time struggled with looking at myself in the mirror. And one thing I started to do, I would take 5 minutes and I would just look at myself. And I would pick one feature on my face. Today I'm going to look at my eyes. And be like, you know what? I really do like the way that my eyes are kind of almondy shaped. And really start to appreciate the craftsmanship of what God placed on you. and how he created you. And you'll be, as you take those small little pieces one at a time, then you'll be able to begin to appreciate the wholeness of who you are. And I think that those things are really important. Apologize to yourself, forgive yourself, and affirm yourself. And make sure that you take those times to do that. And it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. You're gonna cry. But the thing is, you'll feel so much better after, I promise you.
That when you, because I was a part of that very first class, that thing took me out. Because I was in a point where I was on this forgiveness spree. Everybody, you forgive it, you forgive it, who else? Step up, you forgive it. And when you said at that meeting, look in the mirror, I was cool with the affirmation, I'm beautiful, I'm this, I'm that, I'm more than enough, I'm this and that. When she said, I'm sorry to yourself, that took me out. I couldn't even look in the mirror no more. Because I forgot me. When initially what should have happened, I should have forgave me first. Then, and forgiveness is just simply letting yourself off the hook.
And just like I told my youth group last night, I told them the greatest act of love is forgiveness.
It's forgiveness.
Forgiveness, because it's just so freeing. You have it disconnects, it breaks the bondage, and you can move forward. It disconnects everything bad so you can move forward.
Because that forgiveness thing, that if you don't forgive, that thing will take you out. Literally. It will kill you.
It will.
Because it'll begin to foster and fester and begin to
It takes root.
Oh, yes. That thing, look, you better do it. You better do it.
You got a few more?
Yeah, just a couple more things.
Okay, so we have just about 10 more minutes left. I would really love for you to get the opportunity to finish it.
Okay.
All right, so just
All right,
do
let
this.
me go fast. All right, so we can tie, the last few things are really just tied together. So we have candles on the table, and they're just showing light. And the fact that we should exude the light of Christ that we have in our lives. And people should be able to see that light on us. The word says that we are the light of the world. And we're the salt of the earth. And we should be able to share that with everyone that we encounter. They should be able to receive a piece of light from us. So it's important that we shine light and that they're able to receive light from us. There's also jewels on the table. I don't know if you can see that at all. They're really tiny, but they're sprinkled throughout. And there's also these bigger hearts with sparkly things, and the flowers and the candy. The flowers represent fragrance. So we should have a fragrance, a good smell about us, not just in actual physical scent, because you should smell good, like all the time. Please. Like, wash your places and smell good. But we should have, just like the light, we should have an air of a good fragrance and scent, and people are drawn into us because of what we bring. We should have a little sweetness. That's what the chocolate is for. Sometimes, especially as I know a lot of single moms and single parents, and you have to put on your Superwoman cape and carry everything else, and that you become a little bit hard because of the things that you're carrying in life. But you should also still have a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of femininity. That's what the petals also represent. A little having that femininity about you. Embrace like yourself as a woman. Like we're different and we're delicate creatures. And start to embrace that. That doesn't mean you're weak. You're still strong, but you're delicate, and you should be treated with care. And you deserve that, and you should know that you deserve that. And like you said, when you get that confidence, you're in a place where you're just like, no, I will not accept anything. I'm not going to take your trash. I'm not going to take your trashy talk. You're not going to talk to me that way. You're not going to treat me this way, because I know that I deserve better, because I am better. And then the gems, like I said, that they also represent a little bit of sparkle. I think that every woman should have a little bit of sparkle in her life. You might not be all into like the frilly things and stuff, but you should invest in you. And jewels cost money. They are an investment, and we should make sure that we make ourselves a priority. We prioritize us as well, and we invest in us.
Mhm.
So if that means taking a little time and spending that little extra on this so that you can make yourself feel better, because sometimes, I don't know about you, but I feel good when I buy myself something.
I know.
So I'm gonna go ahead, and Old Navy got all my money on my coins lately. If I need to go ahead,
Sale too.
I know I got some for $12 last week, girl.
Bless.
Listen. So so if you need to go ahead and take that time just to do something special for yourself, so that you can feel special for
Right.
you, that's important as well in being walking in wholeness.
I just want to, I'm sorry, but Tasha just interjected something. She said, that is the biggest truth. Forgiving takes time, but it's the master breaking technique. You will feel free afterwards. This is my testimony. I am glad I learned to forgive, because as a maturing woman, I can no longer hold grudges.
Amen.
Amen.
That's awesome.
That's it. That's what it's all about.
That was good. Thank you, Tasha, for that.
Yes, thank you so much. And the last thing is the centerpiece, the heart. And there's heart themes throughout the table, but we want you to know that the overarching theme for everything that we do should be love. Love is the greatest of all of the things. I forget how exactly the scripture is said, but the greatest of these is love.
Yeah.
So the love that we have for others, the love that we show towards others, the love that we have to ourselves, and the love that God has towards us. So we should always have that, know that everything that we do is saturated, foundated, Pastor Brown's word, the foundation of love, and that should just be what we do and what we have, and that's the lesson.
Can I just add a
Yes.
piece to your lesson?
Sure.
Looking at the table with all this on here and how you put it out, the table is balanced.
That's good.
And it's complete.
The heart is not off to the center, it's straight center. It's balanced, it's complete.
Amen. I like that. That's good.
And
Also, I'm sorry. I'm excited. Also, like, when you look at it, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And we need to recognize that we're beautiful.
Right.
And people should be able to see that on you. Even if it's not my best day,
Yeah.
there should still be a beauty
Right.
that I see.
Right.
Because it's an inner beauty and not just the outward.
Yeah, that's so good. This table is so, I'm about to just wrap it up, take it home. This table is so good because with all the different parts, you put it together in harmony
Yeah.
and made it beautiful.
Right.
And it's whole and it's balanced.
Yes.
Everything we needed was on this table. With God as the foundation.
Yes.
How amazing is that?
It's awesome.
I just got to make it look. That is so amazing that that's all it takes.
Yeah.
And understand that it's a process.
It is.
And embrace it. Embrace your process, embrace your journey with life. And what happens today is not your fate for tomorrow.
Right.
Your moment changes. As long as you continue to breathe air,
Yes.
it will get better.
It will.
I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact because when you give up and you take your life or you just choose to lay down to die, that's it.
Yeah.
You gotta push beyond people, beyond what people say. It's called self-esteem
Right.
for a reason. It's
Choose
esteem.
you.
Yeah.
Choose you because you're worth it.
Yes.
You're so worth it that he died for you. He died for you.
Yeah.
He endured separation from the Father, the one he's known before time, who he was always with. He took a pause from that for you.
Wow. It's amazing. I always get choked up with that when I think about, because that's just the ultimate love. He chose to be away from his Father, his connection, to put on a mortal body, to experience everything we experience.
And show us that he could overcome it.
That's amazing. That's absolutely, absolutely amazing. I don't know what else to say because it starts there. It really just starts there, and then it grows from there.
Yeah.
And you just God is awesome. God is awesome. Is healing taking place, and and things are amazing. We have Omar Falk. I might be saying it wrong. He just said hi. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. Go ahead, because I'm choked.
I'm there too.
I
I just want everybody to know that you are loved and you are enough. No matter what comes your way, no matter what the world throws at you, no matter what you, oh, now I'm really gonna start crying. No matter what you may have gone through as a child, with the lies that people have said over you, you are enough. He made you enough. He made you with skills. He made you with talents and gifts. Even if you don't know what those things are yet, ask him. He'll show you. He'll tell you what they are. But you are enough. And there's something that you have that no one else in the world has. And the world needs what you have.
Amen.
So you are counted as something. If you're thinking, if suicide has been on your mind, know that you don't have to do it, that you can make it another moment, you can make it another day. You are worth it. You are loved. You are worth it. You are loved. You are worth it. You are loved.
Yes.
It's awesome.
That's so awesome. You can't allow people to define you. God has already defined who you are. Just tap in and get to know who you are and just grow from it. You know, there's a reason why your skin complexion, it's a reason why your eye shape is, it's a reason why you're tall, it's a reason why you're short, it's a reason why you're bold. It's everything that God put in you is a reason why.
Right.
It's a reason why your statue is the way that it is. It's a reason why you have a sense of humor.
Right.
These are tools that can be effectively used in your life for you to have a better life, for you to nurture your children if you have any, to be a partner with someone in life, to do life with if that's your goal, to be married. This helps in relationships, even not just romantic, just friendships. I had a conversation with my boyfriend the other day. We're careful now who we start to hang around with. If your circle is you always have to bring them up and nobody pulling you up, there's a problem with your circle.
Right.
You should be in company with people that can help you, not because you're using them, because we're in this life together.
Right.
Journey. I'm no good to you girls if y'all can't use my talents and gifts, and I can't lend them to you.
Right.
We make this forum great because we come together as one. And we never overshadow each other.
Yeah.
We never overshadow each other. So I just really encourage everyone out there to just really buy a mirror, a hand mirror, start there, and just start talking into the mirror and adjusting your life. And get in the Word of God. Pray, but just don't pray. Take the step after prayer and do. Listen, be still. Listen for God to speak to you because He talks all the time. Sometimes He can't get a word in edgewise because of us.
Right.
You're like, yo, I got a lot to say, but you just keep talking.
Right.
Can I get a word in edgewise? And He's not going to force Himself.
And he's a gentleman, so he don't need to tell you.
He's a perfect gentleman.
Sometimes he will tell you shut up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've been there. You know, that's my relationship with God. Like, deep enough.
Mine is, are you done?
So, but I mean, we're at that hour now. It was
So-
awesome. It was
So
awesome.
thank you for tuning in. We really hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. We thank you so much for the feedback, for the comments, for the love, for the support. Tune in to us next month. Our next topic will be knowing the signs, and there's 10 signs of church bullying. So we want to make healthy members of the church as well as leaders. So that's our topic for next month. If you have not supported my ministry, please do. Purchase the book Relationship Matters. You can do it on my website at www.relationshipmattersministries.com. The book is only $10.99. You can also get it at Barnes & Nobles and Amazon.com. I just want to say again, thank you. We're on every platform, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, You can notify me on email if you want special prayer. Please contact us. We are always available. You can email me at lcoles@relationshipmattersministries.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in. And until next time, have a great...
Wait.
What did I do?
Her ministry has evolved. She also, if you would like Relationship Matters to come to you.
Oh, sorry.
She now comes to you with her forums, and we come to churches, anything,
Yes.
Ministry. We'll travel. Let her know. Her email address is lcoles@relationshipmattersministries.com. Hit the site up. Relationship Matters on Facebook, like her page. Get involved. She travels. She's taking engagements now. We travel because we not gonna send our girl alone. So we travel. So please get involved. We'll come to your church or your local assembly, whatever. Just discuss any type of relationship. Any type of relationship. So now I'm done. So Sheila said good job, ladies. And Tasha says thank you. See you all next time.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Tune in to next month.
Bye.